Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special online event today called Qigong to Cleanse Your Organs for Better Health and Energy Flow. Receive 2 ZangFuGong practices to bring healing energy to your liver and lungs. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and CEO of the Shift Network. And first of all, I want to thank you for being here with us today. I know there's a lot of tumult in the world. There's a lot of anxiety in the world. And being here today can really offer some solutions for how to stay centered, to clear your energy system, to open your field using ancient practices that help you really weather life challenges and stressors in different ways. So we're going to be here learning from Daisy Lee, who's a remarkable Qigong teacher and author. She's become one of our new favorites at the Shift Network. She just emanates the peacefulness and grace that comes with deep spiritual practice and practice that also recharges our system. So you're in for a treat today. So welcome, Daisy.
Hello, Stephen, and hello, everyone. So great to be here.
Great. Well, thanks for being with us all the way from Puerto Rico, the magic of the internet. I know that we're going to have this hour with you, and we're going to do at least 2, I think maybe 3 practices. So there's going to be a very experiential time together. And I also want to let people know that we're going to have a chance to go deeper with Daisy in a brand new program with some really powerful practices that we'll hear a little bit about towards the end of the hour. So, Daisy, let's set a little context today. And you've shared your personal backstory with me before, but folks, not everybody's seen. So a little bit about what brought you to the practice of Qigong and really dedicating your life to it.
Well, Stephen, it really started with a very personal matter when my husband, my late husband now, was sick with leukemia. And as a result of his illness, I discovered not that I was open to discovering other alternative ways of supporting his health. And so Qigong came into my life, and I was really fascinated by what I was learning at that time. There was a movement in the Qigong that someone taught me, who was both a Western medical doctor and a Chinese medicine doctor. And we were at the hospital together, and he taught me this movement, and it was sweeping through the energy field outside my husband's body. And quite incredibly, before that, he'd been on morphine and codeine to control the pain. And I started doing this practice on him. He was too weak to do anything himself. And what was quite miraculous was that the pain that was quite high at that time notched down like from a 10 to a 3 to, virtually none. And after that, even though he'd been on pain medications up to that time, I started to just come in and instead of him receiving morphine or codeine, I started to just do this Qigong movement. And I later learned it was a way to clear what they call the Wei Qi field, or the field that emanates outside the body, outside the organs. And he completely no longer needed morphine or codeine. And so, there were other treatments still. There was more chemo, more radiation, but pain-wise, he cleared. We were able to clear all of that. And I was so impressed that even though he passed away of the side effects of treatment from the Western methodologies, I continued with my Qigong learning and practice, and never expected that I would be teaching it out in the world. So I started to specialize in Qigong, and it became my work, became my life work, and my mission to get this practice and these practices, because there's more than one style of Qigong, and to get it out into the world. Yeah. To serve
well, thank you. People. Thank you for sharing that backstory. And when you refer to the almost miraculous, one of the things that it strikes me about Qigong is it actually gives us an understanding. So it's not doesn't have to be a quote miracle. It's really there's a science and a practice behind moving energy and clearing And that's part of what, part of why I think so many scientists have gotten very interested in Qigong as a practice, because it is showing clear health benefits, medical benefits, things getting turned around that otherwise can't be addressed. I talked to one person who said that, that all the research on meditation is that actually Qigong is way more effective than a lot of the meditative interventions that they used to study, 10 or 20 years ago. So
Yeah,
let's
maybe
share a little bit of context for why that is. So what is it about the way that Qigong works with breath and intention and movement and energy that can really shift things so quickly in our system?
Well, Stephen, it enhances and increases the relaxation response. And so the body goes into a state of calm and equilibrium, so that, for example, we're not panicking, or if we're feeling angry or frustrated or sad, the emotions that that this rides on starts to simmer down, calm down, and you find that sense of peace that is sometimes elusive when you're in that kind of panic. So that's incredibly important. The other thing, that I find, and that science has found really quite profound, is that by synchronizing the breath with these gentle flowing movements, it's the synchronization that actually supports that relaxation response. And when our bodies are more relaxed, it can heal a lot faster. It doesn't have to deal with your panic. It can actually go into repair, cleansing, detoxing, and rejuvenation repair mode. So that's what is very critical to the difference between Qigong and perhaps, even though meditation is a wonderful practice, the fact that we're moving is really a moving meditation. So combining these factors of stillness within, as well as these gentle flowing movements, it opens up the joints, it brings more oxygen into the body, it helps with the detoxification process in general. So that's why people regenerate and rejuvenate, because they're actually improving their circulation and improving their elimination also. Yeah, in a nutshell.
Well, that's a great explanation, and it also makes it clear for why this work is so even doubly important in a time of increased stress and anxiety in the collective, since we take that in, and that will ultimately undermine our health if we can't find that deeper baseline to trigger the relaxation response. Yeah. So I know, let's start in on we mentioned in the description for today that we would start with a guided body scan, and so that this is something people can participate in as well. So why don't we start there?
Okay, let's do that. So when we're tuning into ourselves, which is so important because often we're referencing outside. And if we're constantly referencing outside, and especially in the state that the world is in currently, it can be very overwhelming. So we come inside, even if things are not feeling all right yet. Start by grounding yourself to the earth. So if you're standing or sitting, have your feet flat on the ground and feel all the points of your feet that touch the earth. Just feel them. Take a deep breath. Slow, gentle inhale. And an equally slow, gentle exhale. And there's a point between the two balls of the feet on each foot. And open up that point using your mind's eye. Allow the anchoring gravity of the earth to draw energy down from the earth, helping you to grow your tree roots in your feet, and borrow energy from the earth. And see that loving energy come in through the very bones of the body, the bone marrow, and see it rise up through the trunks of the legs, relaxing the legs, into the lower abdomen. Allow the lower abdomen to sink and relax. Bring that up. Now, gently see the energy column expand and infuse the torso through the liver and gallbladder on the right, the stomach and spleen on the left, the kidneys in the back, both sides. Continue floating this energy up, this healing energy from the earth, infusing light into the lungs, into the thymus gland, in the throat, allowing your free speech, your honesty to speak. Continue scanning upwards. Relax lines around your mouth. Smile if you feel moved to. Continue rising the energy up, giving your face a lift. Into the nose, where fresh air comes in. Into the eyes to brighten the eyes. Into the brain to infuse the mind and brain with new thought, fresh ideas, renewed potential. The whole body becomes more alert and light and yet grounded. We come out through the top of the head, going still higher upwards, past the ceiling, past the roof, into the sky, where you meet what we call a soul star. And that star is unique to every person on this earth. You see the light of that star, and you shower that light around the body back into the earth, coming back up through the midline of the body, back into the heart and lungs. And slowly open your eyes. Okay, and that's what this is called is vertical alignment. It's a kind of body scan, but what we're doing is borrowing energy from greater sources, bigger than the human sources. So sometimes when people are in a panic, their fear can make us more horizontal, you could say. And so we react to others' energies. Whereas when we're connecting to the energy of the earth and the sky, our grounding is more substantial, or we're more centered in the midline of the body, and we're at the same time on the top more light. So rather than giving out these vectors of distress, we align with the more stable forces of the earth and the sky. And when you go through, you might notice different sensations through the body. You do this very slowly, purposefully, and you start to sense into each of the organs. What is it that you're feeling in the organs? And it's okay to notice discomfort. It's okay. The main thing is that you're noticing these things so that you can maybe make note of it and then change it as we do our practice together. And so that is one of the first things. Sometimes also the last thing that I do is this vertical alignment. So when the students come, often we start with that just to get everyone grounded, and then we may also end with it. And it's a way to just help us find our balance and find our equilibrium and our peacefulness in our bodies. Yeah, by reconnecting with the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, so
well, one of the things that's beautiful is sort of like an energy bath, just doing that with you. And just a reminder that, when we're doing Qigong practices, this isn't just about our personal energy, that we are really reconnecting with a huge field of energy that the universe can provide, and there's so much more there than we can personally generate ourselves.
Yes, so true, Stephen.
Yeah.
I think
Well, let's talk a little
if
bit.
you.
Yeah,
I'm
let's you want to
sorry.
transition to talk about the lungs. So I think that's a great foundational practice, and I guess we didn't really also fully explain the Zhangfu Gong as a sort of the variation and what differentiates that from the kind of general Qigong category.
Right, and Zangfugong is the organ. Zangfu is the internal organs. It also includes the exterior. It opens to the exterior. So these are very important to take care of, especially at this time, because we need to detoxify and energize these organs. We need to support them in processing the toxins that are coming in. And so that can be not just environmental toxins or viruses, but it can be from the foods that you eat. It can be even if you're prone to drinking sodas and Coca-Cola or whatever. Coke is great for cleaning engines and toilets, but not necessarily for your body. So we try not to overdo those kinds of things. So boosting the function of the organs is very key at this time, and really any time. What Zangfu Gong does is not only is it working on the physical organs and the joints and tissues of the body, because we're doing these gentle twists and turns, open the joints and open the tissues, the fascia below the skin of the body, but we're also clearing the emotional buildup, you could say, the compression of emotions, or the buildup of emotions that can tend to compress in the lungs, and especially at this time. And so what happens, the correlation of the emotion of sadness and grief weigh heavily on the lungs. And so what we do with this movement is to not only open our capacity for air to flow in, oxygen to come into the body, but we'll also be stimulating pressure points at the lungs, 2 lung points one on each side, or 2 on each side as well if we do the other ones. And excuse me, ground the energy back to the earth. So we're using and borrowing energy from the earth to help us recycle this spent energy. And so we can play an active role in this recycle process. We can play an active role in helping ourselves. And I think that's really the key, Stephen and everyone. We want to depend on our doctors, our therapists, our family members who are sometimes might feel are more capable than us. But ultimately, the great gift of Qigong is that we are doing our own practice, that we are learning to take care of ourselves. If we haven't done this before, this kind of practice is optimal because we're engaging the mind through visualization or guided meditation. We're engaging our physical body, which needs to move so that energy is coursing through the channels, the meridians of the body and the organs, all the tissues, all the cells. And so very, very important to keep energy flowing and moving through the body to increase circulation, to help in the detoxification process. So where the lungs are concerned, because of the heaviness that may affect us during certain times of our lives, we want to clear this area especially. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to share this movement with you. Okay. All right. So we're going to begin by connecting with the hands first, because these Laogong points that are in the center of the palms, virtually in the center, it's actually between the middle finger and the ring finger when you're clenching your fists. You will see the point in between. And those are the points that are called the Laogong points, or the hard-working points. And so just rub them together vigorously so you can feel. At the beginning, especially if you're new to Qigong, just allow the hands to relax. Place them a few inches apart. The legs are hip width apart, or shoulder width if you're a little wider at the shoulders. The knees are relaxed. The torso, the lower pelvis is just gently relaxed so that the back is gently straightens on its own. And the torso is straight but not rigid. Okay? Just take note of your shoulders as you roll them back and down. And now the hands are in front of the lower body. Okay? And this is the movement. I'll show you, talk you through. Moving from the shoulders, opening up this ball to the shoulder height. And we exhale as the hands come back together. We're going to practice this breathing because we need to actually expand the capacity of the lungs. Inhaling and opening to about shoulder height. Exhaling, coming back to center. Okay, again, shoulder, elbows, wrists and fingers in that order. When they reach shoulder height, again, shoulder, elbows, wrist and fingers coming back together. Okay, we just play with the qi at the beginning. Start to feel the breath in the body. Inhale and open. Exhale and close the hands. Okay. We do this a number of times until the breath feels calm. Long, slow exhale. So we're always doing our best to elongate and deepen the breath. This next one, we're going to inhale up to the shoulder height. And exhale, release just here. Now we're going to sink a little bit in the knees and go down. Crisscross the palms, one in front of the other. So the hands come in, rise up, bring them to just below the clavicle, so where that long bone is across the chest. There's a little valley where the joints meet, and you're going to drop into that little valley. You might come a little closer so you can see where it is. And I'm just taking 2 fingers, it can be more than 2, but just take these couple of fingers and slowly massage into these points. And sigh. Okay, deep inhale. Long, slow exhale. If you feel sad, breathe it out on the exhale. We'll do that again. Deep inhale. Make it audible. Okay. Cover the same points with the palms, the lagong points in the palms. So it's as if you're giving yourself a hug. Give yourself a hug. Give yourself some comfort. If you're feeling lonely or afraid, just hold yourself with reverence. Okay, now take a deep inhale. I'm going to back off so you can see. Deep inhale. And as you exhale, draw the hands away from the body. Draw out the sadness. Drop it to the earth and let the earth recycle it. Bring the hands up to the forehead height. Palms up now. And up. Long, slow exhale. From here, the hands, back up a bit, come up through the midline of the body. They face each other. They come up to the top of the lungs, and then they open as if we're receiving energy from above. So the hands are facing the sky. From this position, the palms face each other again. We draw down through the midline as if through a column of light. When they've gone, the hands have gone as far as they can to the bottom, they rise up. It's like you're pressing away the walls. Yeah, just do the movement. I'll synchronize the breath later. And then drop down the hands, the legs relax, palms face each other, parallel lines coming up to the top of the lungs. Okay, so exhale down. Now here's the breathing. When the palms face the earth, inhale up. Deep inhale. Long, slow exhale. Inhale up. Pause, turn to face each other. Exhale down. Palms face the earth. Inhale up the earth's substantial energy. You see the palms are pressing away, fingertips back. Exhale down. Column up. Inhale up to the top of the lungs. Soften the fingers at the top. Receptive posture. Palms face each other. Exhale down. Sink a little in the knees. Inhale up. Exhale. And inhale. Okay, maybe I'll go a little further and I'll show you a little side view so you can see what I'm doing from a different angle. Palms are up. Now together. Exhale down. Palms to the earth. Inhale, rise up. Shoulder height only. Fingertips back. Exhale, relax the knees, relax the elbows, relax the palms. Inhale up. Face each other. Exhale down. And inhale up. Exhale. And final one coming up. And inhale. Bring the hands together and just bring them to the lungs. Bring them to the heart. Center yourself over the thymus. And this is particularly important because the thymus gland is responsible for producing the natural killer cells in the body. So these natural killer cells protect us and go to battle for us. And so that is the lung clearing and strengthening movement. Very, very supportive on multiple levels, both for your physical lung health, but also the emotion of grief to support the release of sadness or grief or blocked energy that's in the lungs coming out of the body. Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed that practice. If Stephen had also talked about the liver cleansing and clearing, and this movement is very supportive of clearing the liver and gallbladder areas, organs, I should say, also the whole area. What is unique about the liver cleansing movement is that if we can use trees. We can go into the forest or meet up with our favorite tree. We have coconuts here, so some of my favorite trees are the coconuts, and I'll do this movement in front of one of these trees. And so the trees help us because we're taking in the oxygen that's produced by the trees, and we're giving the trees the carbon dioxide that they need. And so it's an equal exchange done with the greatest respect, you could say, the respect for nature, respect for this earth and this sky. And so I wanted to tie in that we were talking about the emotions that are connected to each of the organs. And so with liver clearing and strengthening is the emotion of anger. And when our body is overworked and processing so much, there's a buildup that can happen in the liver. And if it doesn't have anywhere to go and the channels are not clear, what happens with the liver energy is that it kind of scrunches up, condenses energy, and it pushes upwards on the heart and lungs. And so the issue with that is that it becomes very congested and inflamed. Not only is it having to deal with environmental toxins, but now it also has to manage the anger that you're not sure where it's coming from, or maybe you do. You know, sometimes we have a target for this anger. But anger can be destructive to ourselves, of course. And if we can't release it, there's nowhere to release it, that's when we become really unhealthy and the potential for disease starts to manifest. Okay, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to teach you the liver clearing and rejuvenation movement. Okay. I happen to have a great, beautiful palm tree here with a red bark, and so I'm going to share with you how you can go in front of a tree and really it's like asking permission to do this exchange because it's a living being. And so I would step across, so I'm shoulder width, just stepping back a bit. I'm shoulder width with my knees, and I've stepped out and forward. So my right leg is in front, and the right hand is on the bottom, facing the belly. The left hand is on top, facing the liver. And so here's what the general movement looks like. So I'm not going to go too complex at this stage, but I'll show you first, and then I'll go into more explanation later. Okay. When we start in this position, what we're doing is we're clearing any congested energy in the liver. So we go down to the earth, we feel the earth, we release to the earth, and then we bring up the strength of the trees. The trunk is stable and strong, and then we turn the hands where the leaves are. The palms are facing up now. We draw this green energy into the eyes because the eyes actually connect with the liver in Chinese medicine. So we bring it back, we soothe the liver as the hands come down. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Butt back, leg forward, press into the earth gently. Knee gets bent, go up the trunk, palms are facing away. Now turn the palms up. Fresh green leaves. Green color supports the liver health and gallbladder. We scan over the eyes, excuse me, come back to the liver. Exhale. Turn. Inhale. There's like a half moon on the exhale here. And the green leaves, inhale. If you can go further back because you have more flexibility in your legs, your butt can go back. This right leg is straight, and then you drop into the earth more, press forward, and then go up the trunk of the tree. Turn at the eye height. Right hand over the eyes, left hand follows. Okay? Sweep and clear. What is the emotion that you want to release? It's okay to be angry, but it's also helpful to release that anger. Let the earth help you. And now bring the strength of the tree in. The fresh growth comes in. Okay, do one more. Release. Elbows not too straight. Rounded. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. Okay. So that is the liver supportive movement to help with clearing blocked energy from the liver and gallbladder. You can use it anytime you feel that you need support for your eyes, but also especially support for the liver. And so you have now a few movements that you can use during your everyday living. Two emotions that can become very condensed in the body and can get sticky, yeah? So it's like glue when things are compacting, and when they start to take form, that's when it creates issues. So we want to create fluidity in the body, in the organs, in our way of thinking even. So when we're feeling put upon, or when we're feeling ill at ease, it can create more stagnation in the body. And so the opportunity is to transform that energy into something lighter, into something with potential. And that's why ZangFuGong is so powerful. We've had so many students that have, reported back to me about a number of things. One is the relaxation and release of stress, release of emotions that, in a sense, you could say contaminated their bodies. And the other is interestingly, some gentle weight balancing. So if someone was too heavy, they often lost about 5 to 7 pounds in 1 month. And if they were too skinny, they felt that they were too skinny, but they needed to balance their weight, then they would stabilize the weight and stop losing. So it's very interesting what this form does. Essentially, it's a great balancer for so much of imbalances in our lives. So look to this. Practice even what little you know from today's class, because as you start to detox, you're going to have greater clarity in your mind, in your body, and there will be greater ease in how you manage stress and how you manage different situations that arise in your life. Yeah, so I think that so many of us are caregivers, and as a result of that, we can get tapped out, as they say in the martial arts and what do you call that? the boxing world or the wrestling world. Sometimes you need to tap out. And so when we're over caregiving, overextending ourselves, which is not meant to be sustained, that we are in that constant caregiving mode, we need to really return to self-care. And part of that self-care is could be a program like ZangFuGong, and can also be simplest things that you can imagine, like drinking boiled water, which is I always tell my students one of the first medicines in both China and Tibet is drinking boiled water. The heat helps things move more fluidly and will energize the body and clear out toxins that might be contaminating the different organs and tissues. So little things hopefully will go a long way in what you learned today. Yeah. So
yeah,
Stephen,
beautiful practices and insights. For sure. So I want to just kind of put a little bit more focus on so why this is so beneficial for disease prevention, for overall systemic health, is that these stagnant energies, like you were doing with the pressure points, if you've got grief and sadness that are getting blocked up, it's like that makes you more vulnerable to other disease states. And there's some good evidence around that, right?
Yes, very much so. I know that, we need to be responsible. All of us need to be responsible. So if you continue to fall out of alignment because of all the bad news that's surrounding us, then you can really be toppled and be more vulnerable. So the fear actually congests the body even further. And what we need to do is to not panic, stay as calm as possible, practice our Qigong, and find that alignment between the earth and the sky. Yeah, the rest is, all the other self-care methods that one might use. Often we go into our default. My default is Qigong. I've been at this for over 20 years, so for me it's quite natural. But I would hope that it's going to become more and more natural for people to practice Qigong, and especially ZangFuGong.
Yeah, so let's share I'd love you to share a little bit more about how you weave this into a daily practice, since I think most people have the assumption that Qigong is something you might do once a day as a movement practice, but really there are lots of little practices you can do, whether you're working at the computer or in a car, that you're sort of working on circulating your energy and freeing up the old patterns. Lots of opportune moments during the day. I'd love for you to just share a little bit more about that.
Right. Well, Stephen, I know that not everyone has time to do even a 20-minute practice sometimes. And the ZangFuGong, once you have learned the whole set, it will take about only 20 minutes. It will take, the 7 weeks to learn the full program, and maybe pick and choose sometimes the elements, or if there's a particular organ that is affected at that time, we'll go right to that, or you will go right to that, learn that particular practice, and use that regularly. So it might be 10 minutes of practice. You might be sitting at your desk, and so it can be modified for the seated position. So as long as you don't have arm rests there, you have the freedom to move your arms in all directions. You can twist and turn and do as I do, to the best of your ability. If students ask, I'll share some modifications with them, but for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. You would just take an angle and do it at your desk. Of course, it's best if you get up and do some standing position, because it's so easy to get locked into staying at our computer and kind of following the news and following all the communications. But we need to go outside. We need to have green trees around us. We need to get a little perspective outside of this present moment. And we need to take care of our health. And this is one of the ways that it can happen, is conscious breathing, conscious movements synchronized with that breathing, and guiding yourself back to health, guiding yourself to a place of peace so that the body can de-stress. Very, very important is to gentle the spikes in the emotional field. Rather than getting so angry, catch yourself. So maybe you'll get angry or you'll get extremely sad, but catch yourself in that moment. Let it go in that moment, but come back to practice. So it's not always about taking that hour or hour and a half to do your practice, but remembering the little moments or the little gems that might be shared during the 90-minute class that we share together. And that's how we build our practice, and how we build our understanding, embodied understanding of Qigong. Yeah. So we don't come to it immediately, especially if it's something that's very new to people. But for those that do it regularly, I often hear that they can't live without it because they just feel so much healthier. The qi is running smoothly through the body, and so it becomes a way of life. And it makes such a difference that you can't help but do this practice. And so whether you are taking care of others, like your family, Stephen, or whether you're a caregiver that is overwhelmed, in the nursing or in the hospitals, or a spiritual seeker, sometimes what I've heard is that with meditation, sometimes people tend to leave their body behind because their sense of things is so much more interesting out of their bodies, or not staying grounded on this earth. And so Qigong is very helpful for those people as well, because it can remind you of why it's important to be here and now in this form that you've been gifted with. And so I would say it's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself at this time, and to get clarity on what can be done. And I'll be sharing a lot of tips, throughout on how to do self-care, not just with Qigong, but some herbs and spices, even recommendations that are found in your kitchen cupboard, or found in your garden, found in your refrigerator. And so some basics that I think will be very important for people to have on hand. And that's the majority of it.
The course that Daisy's starting to talk more about, which is really a tremendous opportunity to take on these practices for enhancing your health, for clearing out your organ systems, for really optimizing your health for whatever comes. And it's called Qigong to Renew and Rejuvenate Whole Body Health. Discover the ZangFuGong form of Qigong to boost energy and release stress for a balanced, joyful life. There's no prerequisite for this, so if you're new to the practice of Qigong and want to learn this more specific set of practices, that's a great place to start. If you've been practicing other forms of Qigong and you want to add this to your core practice, this is great as well. Daisy's really tuned in and said, what's most important for this time, and how can she offer the most benefit to you, as well as a global community of practice, which will be important, as there's going to be more people who are spending time at home, and often in a state of somewhat challenge and deeper anxiety. So it's a great way to stay centered, to come together, to reconnect with that healing force within you, to reconnect with the larger energy of the universe, and really to optimize your whole system for health and well-being. And Daisy, I'll turn it back to you and let you share more about what you're going to be sharing in this program.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. We talk about the Zangfu, which is the organs, internal organs, but also the exterior organs, excuse me, that connect to the inside. So, of course, the nose connects with the lungs, right? We breathe in the air, and we take in oxygen into the whole of the lungs, which oxygenates the whole body. And so the first week is orientation with some beautiful initial flows. And then the second week will be going into the lungs and large intestines. So that's really interesting because the two work together. And you'll notice the health of your lungs sometimes is exhibited on your skin. So many people find that their skin is more radiant after they start this practice. We go from there to the heart and small intestines in the following week, and the heart connection and how to digest, things that are happening in one's life, and how to improve that digestion so that we can really clear the pathway for not only circulation but elimination, which is very vital to our health. From the heart, we go into the liver. Now, liver and gallbladder are a pair, a very happy couple when they work well together. And so you saw the movement that we were practicing earlier. And so that's one of the next ones. And of course, if we go from one side, on the liver side, we have to go to the opposite, which is the stomach and spleen. And so we'll clear the stomach channel. I'll give some tips also on what to stay away from in terms of food, because you can really distress these organs because you're not supporting it in how you eat, not only what, but how you cook or don't cook your food. And from there, it's the kidneys and gallbladder. And so we will do a really fun move with that. It's an interesting one because it's connected to the emotion of fear and how do you dislodge fear. So I will definitely speak on that. And the final week is the whole flowing routine. So you go from one end of the beginning all the way to the finish. The whole body is cleared, and we're going to do the flow together. You'll be able to start practicing at home, the complete flow once you're done, and it will probably become your default. It'll be something that feels so familiar to you by the end, and you will feel rejuvenated and refreshed if you're anything like the other students that have done this practice. That's the long and short of it for now, Stephen.
I mean, you just emanate so much peaceful love and joyful, good health. And I think that this is the ground that we all need to walk on ourselves and really emanate that for those around us as well. So what a gift that this course is available right at a perfect time. So I'll share a little bit more about it. You get recordings of the sessions, both video and audio, so you can watch them again and again. Sometimes it's helpful, particularly to ingrain the practices, to see them again and again. You also get word-for-word transcripts of every class. And there's also going to be some extra bonuses that really open you to new possibilities and insights as well. There's a video interview with Daisy, Lorelei Chang, and Mai Nakanishi called The Art of Qi, How Qigong Supercharges Creativity in All Aspects of Life. It's also a time, I think, personally, that as we are taking more inward time, that creativity can blossom if we cultivate it. So it's a good extra bonus for that. There's an interview with Daisy Lee and Mark Rule called The Qigong Path, and a video dialogue with John P. Milton on the healing power of nature, acknowledging, integrating, and liberating the shadow. So as Daisy's mentioned, she lives in a beautiful part of Puerto Rico, and just sharing that natural sensibility with you. Also, it was about reconnecting to the natural world all around us and the energy that is available when we're not just in our little blindered world. So it's going to be a really powerful and beautiful program. We've gotten great reports from people who have taken programs with Daisy. And I should mention there's one extra special bonus, which we like to do as a way to encourage you to go to the page today while you have the most information. You're here. You can feel the potential benefit for yourself. And if you choose to move forward, then you get an extra bonus when you sign up by midnight tonight. So that bonus is called The Path of Mastery, Key Influences that Shape Qigong Master Robert Peng's Life. So this is a video dialogue between Daisy Lee and Master Robert Peng. So Daisy, you want to share a little bit about that special bonus they get when they sign up today?
Yes, by all means. Thank you, Stephen. Robert Peng, Master Robert Peng, has become a very dear friend of mine. And he is an incredible healer, wonderful teacher. And we had for many years known of each other, but never met. And I knew his teaching partner in Australia when they both came from China, and were invited by the Prime Minister and his family to come and do healing work in Australia. And so finally at the Art of Qi, Mark Rule's Art of Qi program, we met last year and became instant friends. And in this interview, you'll hear the incredible journey that he was on to become the person that he is today, with very deep meditations and being, essentially beat up as a young boy. He was actually very sick in the early years of his life with a heart condition that no one could figure out what to do with, and was just told to stay home. So he finally got bored and escaped out of his home one day to this hotel, the beautiful grounds of a hotel. And he ended up meeting this man in a boiler room, of all things. And in this room was in fact this master, this monk, high level monk, who started to teach him, martial arts as well as healing arts. And on one of those days, he had gotten into trouble as he started growing up. He got picked on by a few boys, and they went home quite damaged. And so his teacher said, "You have a choice. You can go into wushu, into the martial arts, or you can choose a life of healing." And very wisely, Robert chose the healing. So you will learn in that bonus about this path and some wonderful things about his life that I think you would find quite fascinating. He was also on one of the global summits that Sharon Rose did. So I think you would really enjoy getting to know him, because he's a really bright spirit. And I felt a really kindred connection with him when we had talked and had some really wonderful conversations and tea together, Chinese tea ceremony. So please, join us and let's play some qigong together, as they say. We call it playing qigong as opposed to working at qigong, and there's a lightness of heart that comes with that kind of qigong play. So.
Great. Well, thank you for that. It's a tremendous extra bonus for signing up today as well. So a lot of value, especially with all the extra bonuses and practices that you can really apply for a lifetime. So I encourage you to read through the testimonials from people who've done programs with Daisy. She's a delightful teacher and really delivers the goods in terms of practices that can help you heal and transform and optimize your health and well-being for whatever life brings. So we've reached the end of our time. Again, if you sign up today, you get the extra bonus with Daisy and Master Peng. So Daisy, any last words you want to share?
Just, for everyone to be calm, to take good care of yourselves. And I'm very, very excited if you're able to join me. Do join me if you're able, and let's play some qigong and learn and share some interesting information that will help you and your families. All the best.
Okay. All the best. Thank you so much. Many blessings.